How many videos do you see on YouTube that are titled 5 Things I Wish I Knew When I Started Photography, or some other title along those lines? I mean, everyone really kind of talks about mistakes they made when starting photography, what they wish they knew, or what they wish they did differently, or what they regret. But today I want to flip that, and I want to share 5 things I'm glad I did when I started photography. I want to talk about some of the decisions I made that I believe really helped me to grow faster. They helped me to stay motivated, and they helped me to capture better images.
Trapped inside the mind of a dreamer, losing sight of all the visions in my head.
Number 1, I practiced consistently, even when I had basic gear. When I started, I had bought one of the most basic Nikon DSLRs made at the time. I don't even remember the model number, to be honest with you, but I bought it with one of those super cheap kit lenses, and I used it every chance I got. I've shared this before, but I used to get up every Saturday and Sunday morning. I usually would get up around 3 a.m., jump in the shower, grab a little something to eat, and I'd head out the door to go take pictures. I wouldn't come home until 1 or maybe even 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I took pictures pretty much of everything that you could think of, right? I had to find something interesting, right? I had to find something interesting about the subject I was photographing, but it didn't matter if it was a flower, a statue, a landscape, wildlife, or whatever, right? I just took as many pictures as I possibly could. There's a saying, right? It goes something like this: your first 10,000 shots are your worst. Well, I can certainly confirm the truth in this statement, because my photos, my first 10,000 photos, were absolutely awful. But they should be, right? That's part of the process of learning photography. Everyone's first 10,000 shots should be awful. You're going to take bad photos, and you're going to take a lot of bad photos. The lesson here is, don't wait until you have the perfect camera or the perfect lens, right? Don't wait for this to get out and start photography. The best camera is the one you currently have. Get out there and start taking pictures. Number 2, I experimented early with photo editing. One of the best things that I did very early on was dive into photo editing with both feet. I knew that photo editing was going to be something that would be very important to learn. And I knew that the more I got into photography, the more important it was going to become to be a good photo editor. Now, I have always believed that photography is a creative process, essentially a process that's made up of 2 parts: image capture, and then, of course, post-processing. Now, in many ways, I think that photo editing was a little bit more difficult when I was learning it than it is today, just simply because of the fact that much of what we do today with AI masking tools was a lot more of a manual process back then, right? We didn't have AI tools that instantly selected a subject or a sky or an animal, right? But I do remember back then, I remember when I was out taking pictures, I felt so torn to go home when I would be out taking pictures, because I wanted to get home and edit what I had captured. Most of my edits at that point, though, were either underdone or overdone, and they just weren't great. But again, that doesn't matter, right? The editing process and learning, it's all part of that learning process, and success will be found in our failures. I say that all the time, but it's very, very true. Number 3, I forced myself to shoot in manual mode. Back when I started in photography, I feel like there was even more pressure to shoot in manual mode. I don't know if that's actually true or not, because it's really kind of impossible to measure that. But I do remember feeling the need to shoot in manual mode. I felt a lot of pressure to shoot in manual mode. Everything I photographed, I forced myself to shoot in manual mode. I would walk around my house, even at night, right after work. I would just walk around my house photographing decorations sitting on the shelves or tables or whatever. And I would do this all in manual mode. And I would just keep adjusting my settings and photographing the same things over and over until I got it right. I would turn the lights on and off. And I did the same thing when I would go out on my weekend adventures. I shot everything in manual mode until I got those good exposures. There's no question that, yeah, I had some struggles shooting in manual mode. Right? It was truly frustrating at times. But looking back, the hindsight's 2020. I'm so glad I did this, because it wasn't long before I really understood how to shoot in manual mode and take pictures using manual mode. And that really helped me to understand the relationship between shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. And I think so many photographers fear this mode and never truly learn it. And I think that it really limits you, from growing as a photographer, because it just limits your creativity, right? Manual mode is what gives us the most creative freedom. And so I think it's really worth the time and the investment to learn it, so that we can just unlock our creativity in our cameras and in our minds. And it just opens so many doors for us in that regard. And it's a lot of fun. Number 4, I took a structured program. I'm the type of person that when I'm learning anything that really grabs my attention, I want to learn everything about it that I possibly can. I can be a real overachiever at times. And when I started photography, I began researching classes, that maybe I could take at a local college, or, something along those lines, or even an online college class. Thankfully, I had some friends that were professional photographers at the time, and they suggested that I kind of look into some other options, because they had gone to college for photography and they didn't really feel that they got a ton of information from the college classes. So they had recommended that I look into the New York Institute of Photography. So this is kind of like a program that you do online, obviously, right? It's kind of like a certification program, if you will. So I went and Googled it. And by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar with Google, that's the thing we used to use before ChatGPT became so popular, right? So I Googled the New York Institute of Photography, and I went ahead and I purchased their photography program. And I think at the time it was like $800 or $900, somewhere along those lines. But essentially you would pay that fee, and they mailed you all sorts of course materials that you would go through for learning, right? And it included a bunch of books and all sorts of different things. And it was like a self-paced approach, right? And they would tell you at the beginning that it takes most people 12 to 18 months to complete. Well, I did it in 6 weeks. And not because I rushed it, right? Not because I just kind of blew through it carelessly. It's kind of what I do when I'm really into something. I just throw my whole self into it. And with this program, you kind of go through the materials, you take a bunch of tests, and then you would also have to submit some photo projects, and you'd have to go out and and do these photo projects, and you'd have to submit them to an instructor at the institute, and they would give you a critique back on your work, right? And this was all part of kind of going through and getting your certification. So it was a really useful program and something that I found really beneficial, and I think it actually made me a better photographer. Number 5, I had a mentor. I think one of the best things any photographer can do for themselves, especially when they're learning photography, is to find some sort of mentor. Someone who is skilled in photography, someone who can provide you with feedback on your photography, including your photo editing, not just your photo capturing, but your photo editing. Or as I stated, a few seconds ago, I had some professional photographer friends. They were actually a married couple, a husband and wife team. And as I was going through the process of learning photography, I would constantly, look to them to kind of review my pictures and kind of ask them, what did I do well in this photo? And what works, what doesn't, what bombs in this photo. But having someone you can kind of go to give you this kind of feedback can really fast track you in the learning process, right? Because it can really help to prevent you from making the same mistakes over and over again. And sometimes when we're making those same mistakes over and over again, we ingrain some really bad habits. And that can be really detrimental to our growth. So if you can find a friend who enjoys photography, who likes it, look to each other to evaluate each other's work. Join a local photography group. Find some sort of online group. Go somewhere where you can submit photos and get some constructive feedback. A lot of photographers I know are really kind of hesitant to do this because it can be kind of hard to hear what you're doing wrong. A lot of photographers have a hard time hearing kind of the negative feedback. But at the end of the day, it's really all about improving as a photographer. So I can't stress enough, it's okay to do things wrong. It's okay to not be perfect. It's just part of the learning process. And in the end, it's going to help you to become a much better photographer. So those are the 5 things I'm truly glad I did when I started photography. I hope that maybe by me sharing my choices and the decisions that I made, I hope this kind of helps you focus on some of the things maybe that you can do, some of the decisions that you can make to grow as a photographer, instead of worrying about making mistakes that you haven't made yet. Maybe these things are going to help you. Let me know in the comments something that you've done, maybe some of the decisions that you've made that you feel have helped you to improve as a photographer. Let me know if there's anything that I've shared with you today that maybe you're going to try and maybe you think it's going to help your progress. I'd love to know that as well. Hey, are you looking for a new photo editor? Or maybe you're looking to make a switch from the current photo editor you're using? Then you really need to go check out DxO Photolab 9. DxO Photolab 9 has been known for a very long time for its industry-leading noise reduction software. And now with the release of Photolab 9, it includes AI masking tools. And in my opinion, it's one of the best raw photo editors on the market today. And it's why this is the software I trust for all of my professional work. I've included a link down in the show notes. You can use this to head on over to DxO to check out Photolab 9 for yourself. If you decide you want to purchase it at the time of checkout, be sure to enter my discount code Magnolia during checkout, and this will save you 15% off on your purchase. If you decide that you're not quite ready to purchase the program quite yet, be sure to download a 30-day free trial where you can try out all of the features inside of Photolab 9 with absolutely no restrictions. You can try out every single feature inside of the program, and there's no limitations whatsoever. And it's going to allow you to get a really good feel for how this software works. And maybe you're thinking, you know what? I've heard a lot of good things about this program. I'd like to look into it, but I don't know if I want to spend the time learning it. Well, don't worry. I've got you covered. I have a DxO Photolab 9 Masterclass where it teaches you everything you need to know from file management. And I'll even walk you through my exact editing workflow. And by the end of the class, you're going to have all the tools and the skills you need to create consistent edited photos that really produce a professional looking image. This class has nearly 7 hours of instruction. It comes with a PDF reference guide, and that'll help you for customizing your workflow so you have a step-by-step process to get that consistent editing workflow. And I even include my full DxO preset collection for wildlife and portraits, as well as nature and landscapes. So head on over to my store. That is magnoliaphotographysc.com/store, and you can check it all out right there. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate it. But before you go, you might want to check out this next video right here.